If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as follow me and subscribe to me on all my other social media platforms. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another album review for you guys. Today I am talking about the latest offering from Norwegian black metal legends Tsjuder with Helvegr, or Helvegr. I think I got it right the second time. Helvegr. So yeah, this came out on June 23rd, which actually, June 23rd, that's my mom's birthday. So if y'all could wish my mother a happy birthday, and I love my mom to death, so there you go. And she tolerates metal with me, even though she's not a huge metal person. She's tolerable of it whenever I'm around. But anyway, so yeah, funny enough, the Evil album comes out on her birthday. But anyways, so yeah, this album, this is their first release in 8 years since their previous offer. And now, I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to Tsjuder. Like, I have their album Desert Northern Hell, which I think, honestly, one of the best Norwegian black metal albums I have ever heard. Like, so many dynamics, lots of tempo shifts, lots of different influences coming in, as opposed to just straight up tremolo and blasts all the way through, like classic Norwegian black metal. So yeah, when I heard that this band was releasing something new, I was like, this might be something worth checking out. And boy, I was blown away as to, like, the dynamics you get on this album, as well as all the varied songwriting in terms of the riff work and the drums, the influence. So yeah, this only has two classic members, Nag and Drauglin. I believe I got that right. If not, I apologize. I'm going to be butchering a lot when it comes to, like, Norwegian pronunciations, because I'm a typical American. Sorry. But actually, for drums on this album, they got the one and only John Rice, formerly of Cephalic Carnage, Job for a Cowboy. He's played live in Behemoth, among many bands. Basically, John Rice, one hell of a drummer in modern times, and he was the session drummer for this album. And if there is one thing that is not slacking on this album, it's John Rice's drum performance. Like, oh my god. The turnovers, the tom work, the blast beats, the thrash metal beats, just all around, the drums were like one of the MVPs of this album, bar none. But anyways, we kick things off with Iron Beast, which was one of the singles released, and this immediately gets into like those blast beats and tremolos that almost make me think of classic Mayhem a little bit. But there's and another mode, I should say, about this album, there's a lot of thrash metal influence on this album, and some of the more thrashy tremolo riffs that aren't so cold or blackened, they feel more thrash forward. And the beats, like, I got a lot of nods on this album to mostly German thrash, like classic German thrash, like Sodom, Destruction, Creator. Bands along those lines I got a lot of nods to on this album when it came to the more thrash-inspired parts. But yeah, and like I said, that thrash influence is pretty much felt on about 85 to like 80 to 85% of this album, I would say. But also, you still get a lot of the token classic black metal tropes, like the tremolo riffs. Not so much like the hypnotic, blackened blast beat where it's like... It's more almost death metal blast beats on top of these like cold tremolo riffs. And while this album does do that quite a bit, they do it in a way that never gets boring. Like for me, I wasn't the biggest fan of the last Dark Funeral album because I felt they kind of stayed with those tremolo riffs in just one spot, and it just didn't really feel that interesting. Whereas here, they do that, but there's more interesting elements going on, mostly with the drums providing some different moments, like in the turnovers or in the toms, to kind of break things up a little bit, which makes these tremolo riffs that come in throughout the album kind of stand out a little bit more. Like, for example, I would say the song Tsjuder. You get a lot of, like, really cool drum patterns within these, like, evil, dark tremolo riffs to kind of break it up some. And then also, while we're on this song, Tsjuder, not only do you get, like, these cool machine gun thrash metal riffs, but you even get an awesome, like, triplet chug that screams death metal. Like, I would dare say Morbid Angel inspired triplet chugging with, like, more death metal tremolo, not so much black metal tremolo, I would say. Another mode I would say this album goes for is dissonant melodies. Like, there's quite a few songs where they go into these cool dissonant melodies to kind of provide a more sinister backdrop. I would say in tracks like Tsjuder, as well as Chaos Fiend, Gods of Black Blood, which was the first single, and I was immediately hooked on that track. I'll talk more about that in a second. The title track has some of those dissonance, and even the closing track, Helvegr, or I think that's, I don't know, Helvegr, I'm just going to stay with that. Even that has some, like, dissonant melodic riffs going on. Now, the lead work on this album, there's not a whole lot of leads, like maybe half of the album, maybe a little bit more, does have leads, but every lead has something different. Well, two leads kind of had some similarities in terms of the way it's approached in Tsjuder and Gods of Black Blood, where it's more quick and atmospheric. But then you get into like a song like Gamlet Eric, where it gets into like a combination of atmosphere, dive bombs, and a little bit of shred. And then in the title track, probably the biggest standout when it came to the leads. It's more melodic, it's got a little more shred to it that I really, really enjoyed. Yeah, pretty much that's all when it came down to the lead work. Now, as far as like the songs that really stood out, I would say Pressed Hammeren. Again, I'm trying my best with Norwegian pronunciation, but this song, I would say, is the most thrash metal forward song on the album. Like, this is the big one where you got a lot of German thrash nods. But there's even some, like, punky elements going on here, and not only that, but also in the song Faenskap Ogdod, that even brings in a little bit of, like, a punk fury to the songs. But yeah, Pressed Hammeren, just super thrashy, kind of punky, very aggressive and intense. But Gods of Black Blood, like I said, the first single, that song has these tremolo riffs, but they're much more melodic, kind of like closer to a band like Dissection, I would say. Like closer to like some of them Swedish black metal bands that focus more on melody as opposed to like straight up tremolos for the sake of it. And then also this song continues building more on that thrash metal energy that this album has for the most part, but lots of clever toms when it came down to the intense atmosphere, and it's got some really cool groove. Like, there's another thing, there are some killer grooves on this album that kind of break up the thrashy parts or the blackened blasts. Like, I would say the tracks that definitely have a lot of really cool grooves going on were in Gamlet Eric, Gods of Black Blood, and the title track. Like, those three have some really cool grooves. And speaking of the title track, the longest track of the album at about a little over 7.5 minutes, pretty much it feels closer to classic Tsjuder. Like, there's this dark, almost somber, clean melody to begin the track. Dissonant melody on top of a doomy breakdown. Drums come flying in the breakdown, and also, I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell. You even get cowbells on this track. But the riffs on this song feel more rocky, like they're very catchy, which is really cool, and it's on top of like a more of a doom groove as opposed to like a swinging groove or like a groove metal groove. Like, this is feel more doom forward, or doom laden, I should say. And like I said, the lead really stood out here, and the ending of the song was really cool with this like cool drum patterns on top of cool guitar harmonies. Like Drauglin doing like almost like 2 separate tracks to do these cool harmonies to really emphasize the ending of the song. And then with Helvegr, this was the shortest track of the album, under 3 minutes, and it was an instrumental, and it was mostly to like bring the album to like an atmospheric close, and it was the most doom-laden song of the album. Now, as far as any complaints, I would say sometimes, especially on Gods of Black Blood, sometimes Nag's vocals get a little bit buried behind the music at times, so it's like they could have upped the mix for the vocals just a little bit to make them sound a little bit more clear. And then the only other slight knock, and these are very minor gripes at the bare minimum, but I would say another gripe would probably be, I wish the title track could have closed the album out, and like Helvegr could have been like in the middle of the album. And just in terms of the flow of the album, I would say if they'd done that, put the closer as like a middle track and the title track as the closer, I would have given this a perfect score. But with those very minor gripes out of the way, I would say in terms of black metal, this might be the best black metal album I've heard this year, and it's been a solid year for black metal anyways. I give this 9.5 out of 10. I really, really like this album. Definitely going to pick it up eventually, especially... I've been really into this band as of late, and I need to get the rest of their discography, but yeah, if you are new to Tsjuder, this is not a bad place to start. And then after you check this album out, go listen to Desert Northern Hell. You will thank me. And that does it for this review. What did you guys think of Helvegr by Tsjuder? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, keep your horns high and your dreams wet.